Everything originates, okay? The origin of things is thought. So what comes first, the thought or the speech? The thought. First you think it, then you speak it. So in the Bible and in many holy writings, it is said that the world was spoken into existence. Was there thought behind it? Of course there was. Okay, now that we've established that, the principle of mentalism suggests that everything has origin in thought or consciousness. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Okay, but here's what I suggest. I suggest you don't be a one-book learner. Now, the second principle of correspondence, okay, that's the second of the 7 Hermetic principles. As above, so below. As below, so above. What does that mean? On earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in the heavens. So there is one truth. There is one story. And that story has been told in age after age after age. And it's written in the stars. Look up astrotheology, and you will see the true story. As above, so below. There is harmony and connection between the different planes of existence. Patterns repeat at every level. Quantum physics is telling us more and more about this every day. So there's the physical, mental, and spiritual. As above, so below. How an atom mirrors a solar system is one of them. It's the microcosm against the macrocosm. Or let's say it another way. It's a smaller version of the larger version. As above, so below. As below, so above. Number 3 is the principle of vibration. Nothing is static in the universe. Everything moves, everything vibrates, everything changes. This is why change is uncomfortable. Because you must have friction. There must be friction. What am I talking about? There has to be a contrast. A contrast between comfortable and uncomfortable. A contrast between dark and light. A contrast between yin and yang. As above, so below. As below, so above. But the principle of vibration suggests that everything that appears solid is not necessarily solid. It's moving. If you put your hand under the right microscope, what you'll see is cells vibrating. So now, is your hand solid matter? Science would say no. So if you're not solid matter, what are you? Well, you're matter of sorts. You're sort of matter. But there is the physical, the spiritual, and the mental aspect of everything. The principle of vibration says that differences between manifestations of matter, air, energy, spirit, frequency, vibration, right? Everything has a vibration. Everything has a frequency. So we looked at the 12 universal laws. The law of attraction says that like attracts like, or like vibrations attract like vibrations. The law of correspondence says that everything out there is a reflection of everything in here. The principle, the Hermetic principle of vibration says that nothing rests, everything moves, everything changes. But we as humans like to remain the same because it's familiar, because there's no friction involved. There's no friction. When things remain the same, when patterns remain the same, we tend to love the rut we're in. We tend to enjoy it. Some human beings love the misery they're in because, well, at least there's something. At least something's going on, even if it's miserable. And they begin to wear it as a badge of honor. You ever see how people use poverty as a badge of honor? You ever notice that? I'm poor, and I'm proud to be poor. So, should you be proud to be poor, or should you be ashamed to be poor? If you make better choices, you cannot run from riches. If you choose the correct beliefs in your subconscious, this is subconscious learning, this is mindset. If you plant the correct seeds in your subconscious, you can't help but be wealthy. Do the seeds grow right away? No, absolutely not. Have you ever tried to plant a seed in the ground and demand that it grows, and demand that it bears fruit, and demand that it'll be ripe in the afternoon when you plant it in the morning? Of course not. If you are poor, if you are struggling with money, if you are struggling to live, if you are in a struggle, you have planted seeds of struggle. You have planted seeds of stress. You have planted seeds of low vibration. You're not a victim. You are not a victim of circumstances. You could be a victim of your environment. Because humans are very impressionable. This is why they say, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you who you are. Because like attracts like. So the principle of vibration suggests, or dictates, depending on how you look at it, it dictates that everything evolves. If you are not evolving, you're doing it wrong. If you're stuck here. You're not stuck here physically. You're stuck here. You're stuck on an idea, you're stuck on a belief, and that belief is in your subconscious. This is why they have the expression, free your mind. Because you need to set yourself free. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. What breaks you free the fastest? Vocalization, all day long. All day long. How is it done? It's called opening the throat chakra. The throat chakra opens first. Then it creates enough vibration through the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve which goes directly into your heart, to put enough vibration on there in your heart to open the heart chakra. And then what happens? you start to feel at one with everything. You start to feel that one with everything. The universal law of oneness, the first universal law. So the principle of vibration is telling us, in the Hermetic principles, that everything is growing, everything is moving, everything is evolving. And unless you evolve with it, unless you grow with it, you're going to get left behind. So the law of relativity tells us that everything is relative. Where is behind? It's also a matter of perception. Where are you? Where do you want to be? If you want to be there and you're stuck and now you're here, you're behind. If you want to be here, but you're thinking, the seeds that you're planting in your subconscious keep you here, you're behind. How specifically does this happen? It happens when you refuse to accept new things. When you are like this. This represents closed. This represents hiding in yourself. This represents the unwillingness to open or to be open. This represents judgment because you have pronounced judgment upon yourself. How? Through your subconscious. What needs to happen? You need to go from here to here. That's the first step. Relax. Then, slowly, you begin to open. What does that the fastest? The human voice. God spoke the world into existence. You speak things into existence as well, through your subconscious. You pronounce things upon yourself through negative self-talk and through positive self-talk. So the third law, the third Hermetic principle says that everything vibrates, everything grows, everything evolves, everything moves. So you have to move with it. If you're not moving with it, you're moving against it. If you're moving against it, you're preventing growth. Some people don't know why this is happening. Why am I stuck here? How can I figure this out? How come I can't move forward? Why? How come every time I try to do something, it just falls apart? Because it's falling apart here. And when you remind yourself that it's falling apart, when you see it falling apart again, you go, oh no, it's falling apart. Now you have reiterated the belief in your subconscious, and guess what happens? It falls apart. There is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The superconscious we can call God or consciousness, or higher self or infinite intelligence, or Jesus Christ or Allah. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. The fourth principle, the fourth Hermetic principle of 7 Hermetic principles, is the principle of polarity. The principle of polarity. Good morning, Bruce. Good morning, Lolita. Good morning, guys. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything is due the glass half empty, the glass half full. Everything has poles, opposites, polar opposites. The glass half full, the glass half empty. Which side do you want to belong to? You can belong to the side half full. You can develop a mindset that always sees the glass half full. Always. Sometimes it takes a little time to adjust. Why? Because of fear. Remember, the most positive emotion is love. The most negative emotion is not hate. It's not that antonym, it's fear. Everything has its opposite. In other words, let's say this another way. There's always two sides to everything. And there's a positive side to everything, no matter what happens. Oh, but my dog had cancer. What's the good side? Oh, my stocks just went through the floor, the market crashed. What's the good part? Oh, I got COVID. What's the good part? All things exist on a spectrum with an opposite that are actually two extremes of the same thing. Two sides of the same thing. Two polar opposites of the same thing. Everything. I don't care what it is. Everything. So how do you go from the glass half full or half empty to the glass half full? How do you go from half empty to half full? It's perception. Value is also perception. The money that you think you have is also perception. The value is also perception. The land that you think you own is also perception. If you think you own land in the United States, you need to do your research. You're a tenant. You're not an owner. But that's what you have a lawyer for. You have a lawyer to tell you, if they're honest. The fifth Hermetic principle is the principle of rhythm. When we were discussing the 12 universal laws, I was telling you about rhythm and how to watch your rhythm and be aware of your rhythm. But you can't be aware of your rhythm if you're stuck in the physical matrix. Because if you're stuck in the physical matrix, this is your understanding. This is your reality. This is your awareness. In order to develop a higher state of awareness, or let's say, become one with the superconscious, and not just the conscious or the subconscious, because the subconscious is a collection of what you have learned to do, what you've been conditioned into, what you've been conditioned to do, what your body does better than your conscious mind. In order to become one with the superconscious, you have to allow, you have to release, you have to break free from your mental conditioning in the physical world. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Because there is a separation between the body and the spirit. The body just carries you around. But the spirit in here, what do you call this in here? You call this a spirit, energy, soul? What do you call it? That's the separation that you need to understand. When you look at everything as energy, because everything in the universe is energy, it'll be easier to understand. Yesterday we were talking about mentum psychosis. Look it up. It's the transmutation of energy. So if it was one thing that Einstein was, good at determining, was that you can't extinguish energy. You can't get rid of it. It is. Your energy is eternal. This time, you have this one shot at it. You only live this way one time. That's it. The principle of rhythm, the Hermetic principle of rhythm, says that everything flows and everything ebbs. So have you observed your personal rhythm? Are you aware of your personal rhythm? Do you see when the money goes out? Do you see when the money comes in? Do you see when the love starts increasing? Do you see when the love starts to diminish? Do you see when the thoughts start to come and when the thoughts start to recede? It's important that you find your rhythm. It's important that you observe your rhythm. It's important that you become aware of your rhythm. If you're too conditioned into the physical matrix, you can't see it. Why? Because you're too involved with the mouse wheel. You get up at a certain time, you go to work at a certain time, Monday through Friday, Saturday it's soccer, Sunday it's church, and then Monday you're back on the mouse wheel. Some people have 2 mouse wheels. Some people have 3. How do you fix these things? It begins with thought. Thoughts become things. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. When you change your beliefs, you change your results. Because your beliefs directly affect your paradigm. What's your paradigm? The way you see the world. The way you see the world will dictate how you act in the world. Your actions and reactions. Let's look at the tree. Visualize a tree. The roots of the tree is your subconscious, your core beliefs, your subconscious beliefs. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Your dominant thoughts go in here, in the roots. From the roots of the tree, you get the body of the tree, which is your paradigm. Your paradigm is how you see the world based upon the roots, what you believe. The fruits of the tree up here on the top are your actions and habits based upon your paradigm, or how you see the world, which is based upon your core beliefs of what you believe, or what you have been taught to believe. Or let's say it another way, what you have been conditioned into believing. Human beings are highly impressionable beings. You you are subject to your environment. As soon as you change your environment, many of these thoughts, or many of your thoughts, start to change these beliefs because now your environment has changed. It is very difficult to carry the same beliefs in different environments because humans are like chameleons to an environment. When you observe your rhythm and you see your rhythm, now you have more control. You have more control over your life because now you know what to do and when to do it. What am I talking about? When money goes out, how do you feel? When money starts to leave, how do you feel? Do you feel good? When money starts to come in, how do you feel? Do you feel bad? When you learn to observe your rhythm, when you are, let's say, spiritually astute enough to observe your rhythm, let's say it another way. When you are in a higher state of awareness where you can observe your rhythm, human beings are the only ones, the only beings on earth that we know of that can observe themselves in motion, in real time. Animals only have this experience, that's it. They cannot observe themselves. But God is in every animal. God is in every blade of grass. God is in every tree. Even the trees communicate with each other, but they communicate through the roots. Certain plants communicate. And when certain plants that are edible become threatened with extinction, they turn poisonous. Then when their numbers increase into abundance, they turn edible again. Now humans and animals can eat. Trees don't communicate in words, but they hear us. They feel us. This is why people talk to their plants and it works, and the plants become healthy when you speak nicely to them. This is why you have these experiments where they, let's say, curse a bowl of rice or bless a bowl of rice, and they see the effects. Which leads me to the next Hermetic principle, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance. If you think that life happens like this to you, then you're suffering from limited thinking. Then you're suffering from victim mentality if you think life happens like this. Life happens like this. Life unfolds from within. The kingdom is within. Cause and effect. This is why people bless their food. They bless their food because food contains water. And food and water respond to vibration. The term holy water, you've heard that term? There's no such thing. there's just water. However, holy water, as they label it, is water that has been blessed or prayed over. Or let's say it another way. Water that has been affected by words of love and praise. What happens when you praise your water? It changes the chemistry. Why? Because of cause and effect. Because of vibration. The universal law of vibration. So when you bless your food, what are you doing? You're expressing gratitude for your food. When you express gratitude, is gratitude a high or low vibration? It's a high vibration. Therefore, you're empowering your food with a higher vibration. The law of cause and effect says nothing happens by chance. The first universal law, the law of divine oneness, says that everything is connected. And because of that universal law, there's the law of cause and effect. This is not something you have to believe in. This just is. This creates miracles of sorts because of the distractions that surround you. So when these natural occurrences come into play, when these natural principles are invoked in everyday life and show up in everyday life, people go, "Oh, that's amazing." If you want to see amazing, go in your bathroom, turn on the light, and look in the mirror. That's where the blessing is. That's where amazing lives. In here. In here. So now the seventh Hermetic principle, number 7 of 7. The principle of gender. People have been speaking a lot about gender lately. There's the masculine and the feminine in everything, in everyone, in everything, every living thing. And it's necessary for creation. It's necessary for existence. This is the esoteric part of the story of Noah. He took everything, right? Male and female of every species. Masculine and feminine. It's not about biological gender per se, but about complementary forces that oppose each other. Much like logic and creativity. The right brain versus the left brain. Masculine, feminine. Creative, logic. But when they come together, they create power. When they come together, they create balance. Balance is important in nature. Balance always happens eventually. Because first, the pendulum swings all the way this way. And when the pendulum is here, it gathers momentum to swing back. The law of polarity. So now, are you looking at the glass half empty or half full? You can look at this as a positive or a negative instrument. In the negative, oh, we don't need these anymore. These are old-fashioned. We can use the keyboard now. In the positive, you realize that when you are writing your affirmation, instead of typing your affirmation, it's actually going into your subconscious. And when you're just typing your affirmation, it doesn't go into your subconscious. The pen is mightier than the sword. There's a reason why they say this. So the question is, do you like to write? Always, always, always teach your children how to write. Teach them the power of the pen, because the pen is mightier than the sword. So how do you write your affirmations? Okay, so it's affirmations, the 4 pillars: affirmation, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you direct these 4 pillars to any one thing, it cannot not happen. It has to happen. It may not happen your way. So keep in mind that the how is always God's job. Always. So do not use any negatives, because the subconscious does not recognize negatives. When you use a negative with another word, let's say, I will not smoke anymore, your subconscious hears, I will smoke anymore. So do you quit or do you keep smoking? You keep smoking. Instead, it feels good to breathe clean air. Thank you. Always use gratitude. Always. Rhonda Byrne calls gratitude the great multiplier, because it is. It multiplies everything. I was just showing Jay this morning that when I go to my car, when I'm walking around to my car, to the driver's side, in the garage, every morning, I say thank you for the car. When I wake up in the morning, I say my prayer and I say thank you for everything. And I start naming things. I don't take things for granted in life. When I'm in the shower, I thank God for the shower, for the water, for the hot water, for the shower curtain. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, if you have hot and cold running water, you are not among the majority. You are among the privileged. Don't take anything for granted. Use gratitude for everything. Gratitude expresses love. So if we take a look at the emotions, the positive emotions, right? At the very top is love. At the very bottom of the positive emotions is fear. So it goes love, peace, gratitude, joy, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, hope, satisfaction. Those are your top frequencies, your high frequencies, your positive frequencies, your good vibes, if you will. those frequencies, those feelings, those emotions, those degrees of positivity prevent this from happening. This, holding yourself hostage in here, in the body. The prison is here. To unlock the prison, you need to start with satisfaction and then increase hope, enthusiasm, excitement, passion, joy, gratitude, peace, and love. I always use the windshield wiper as a demonstration of how we think throughout the day. Good thought, bad thought, good thought, bad thought, good thought, bad thought, good thought, bad thought. It's good for your windshield wiper to be out of order a little bit, because otherwise you may have problems going good, bad, like that, especially if your wiper speed is on high, okay? If your wiper speed is on high, guess what happens? They give you medicine to slow it down. You can do the same thing with your voice. You can slow it down with your voice. You can slow it down with affirmations. You can slow it down with meditation. You can slow it down with visualization. So if you're at the 50 percentile, and the highest vibration is love, and the lowest high vibration of the high group is satisfaction, what about the low side? Well, it starts with worry, then irritation, then disappointment, criticism, anger, hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and fear at the very bottom. Now you have these as your lower vibrations, fear being the lowest. What's going on in the world right now? Fear on a massive scale. What does fear create? Anxiety. Why? Because you're scared. If you're feeling despair, if you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling, right? Why would you feel guilty? What makes you feel guilty? Regret? So you did something and now you regret it and now you feel guilty. How do you erase all of that? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Write it down. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It's like taking the dry eraser and erasing the dry erase board. You are extremely important because what you think of you is the most important thing. And secondly, you're saying it to your creator. Who's your creator? I'm not here to tell you what to believe. You believe what you want to believe. You believe as you believe, or as you have been conditioned to believe. But what you think of this one is the most important. Most of us started out in life with a false sense of humility, believing in a false sense of humility, which actually puts you in self-denial, which actually takes you outside yourself and pushes against yourself, thereby creating resistance. Resistance. Humility is not thinking of yourself less. Humility is not thinking, less of yourself. I'm sorry. Humility is thinking of yourself less, putting others first, but not thinking less of yourself, not diminishing the self. It's recognizing that, yes, there is an ego that needs to be subdued. Ego can become a problem. But then again, the law of polarity requires balance. Two sides, always. So how do you acquire this balance? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. It will achieve the balance. It will achieve the correction. So yesterday we were talking about the divine energy. The divine energy in here that is in me as it is in you. The word namaste means the divinity in me acknowledges the divinity in you. And this is why Jesus Christ only taught two things. Love God more than you love yourself. Let's say it another way. Acknowledging and loving the greater energy that you are a part of. And number two, love thy neighbor as thyself. Let's say it another way. Acknowledging the divinity in others and treating them accordingly. Because they are people too, just like you. I haven't mentioned this for a long time, but if the guy that drives the garbage truck to pick up the garbage from your complex or your house or wherever you live, if he doesn't show up for 2 weeks, you will worship him. If you're in a desert and you haven't had water for 6 hours, when a glass of water shows up or a canteen of water shows up, you will worship that water. No human being is more important than the other one. Because of the universal law of oneness, we are all one. We are all important. We are all vital. Which makes things like, unaliving people wrong. Because who are you to do that? Who are you to make that judgment? You only judge this one. But you judge this one through your subconscious. The superconscious doesn't judge you. You do. God doesn't punish. You do. God is love. God is love energy. God is light. Jesus Christ told you, I am the light of the world. God is light. But without the darkness, we don't recognize the light. Sometimes life has to get pretty dark, right? It gets really dark, and then that darkness pushes you into the light. That's the law of polarity. That's the Hermetic principle of polarity. When things get too light, right? We get bored. We choose something dark. We're human beings, right? Then what happens? Well, then things go this way. If they go this way too much, guess what? Balance happens. Eventually. With enough pain, you seek pleasure. With enough pleasure, you seek pain. At the subconscious level, it happens automatically. Human beings don't need to be taught right from wrong. You have right from wrong built in you from day one. This is why parents are learning that they are guides, not rulers. They're not here to rule over children. They're here to guide children. There's a difference. And there's an art to it. So, always seek to be the guide. Always seek to be the guide in others, for others. That's the humility. For others. It's not about being selfless per se, but it's about being less self, less self-centered, less self-absorbed. We are creating narcissism at an exponential rate through the process of isolation. Now, every human being has a little narcissism in them. Everyone. But this thing here, this takes it to a whole new level. And then when you become self-absorbed, you become more narcissistic. And that little bit of narcissism in you starts getting amplified. And that's the ego that I was talking about earlier. And when that happens, it becomes me, I. Narcissism was depicted in the cartoons a long time ago. For you younger people, look up Daffy Duck. These things were shown to us in many examples. But when you become egocentric, when you become self-absorbed, when you think less of others, when you become more narcissistic, you automatically, subconsciously, without thinking about it, start inflicting pain on others without even realizing it. Just through your decisions alone. Because you have been isolated. And in that isolation, you have been shown how to become more narcissistic. Because it's already there. It just needs to be grown. It's already a part of your subconscious. Thoughts become things. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So, when you start thinking these thoughts, you start to become more narcissistic because you start to plant these seeds, and now these seeds are growing, and now you're watering the seeds, you're fertilizing the seeds. You're thinking about it more and more and more and more. And the more you think about it, the more you become it. Human beings become what they practice in thought, word, and deed. And now the narcissism rises to a different level. I can't tell you how many clients I've had that have suffered at the hands of a narcissist. And the majority of my clients are women and their daughters. It's an epidemic. But it's just another facet of our modern world that we need to work away from, that we need to resist from. Because the temptation is great. So how do you break free of these things? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Tomorrow morning we will go over the 4 pillars and how you can effectively do each pillar and work each pillar to your benefit. And when you do this, you break free, you surrender the physical matrix, because there's a separation between the body and the spirit. And the spirit is in here. Your body just carries it around. If you think you are just a body, if you think you are just a meat suit walking around on the planet, you need to become more aware. You're suffering from limited thinking. And that limited thinking is causing you pain. Gautama Buddha said, the man or woman, but he said man, the man that realizes that life is just an illusion escapes suffering. Think about that. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but I'm encouraging you to think. Jay is giving me the sign over here, so we're going to disconnect from our international feed right now. So we'd like to let you know that we do this every morning. I'm not here to sell you anything, so there's no sales pitch. I'm here every morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. So we'd like to disconnect from our stream right now. We're on 7 different outlets, so we bid you